you ready for the big changes in Italy in 2025? If you're living currently or planning to live in Italy in the future, there are some major updates to the Italian tax system that are coming, or actually that are already in force since January 1st of 2025. So whether you're an employee, someone retired from work, a business owner, why not? These changes definitely will impact your finances. As you know, there is a big problem to solve. Are you paying more taxes than necessary? Taxes in Italy, let's be honest, can be tricky to navigate. Many expats out there find themselves overwhelmed, in jam, if you want, by the complexity of the rules, wondering if they're paying too much or worse, not enough, which could lead to, penalties and fines. The common mistake that I see nowadays is ignoring tax law updates, official tax law updates. Many people think, I'll deal with taxes when the time comes, only to find themselves caught off guard by new regulations and, for example, the reduction in tax brackets from 4 to 3 that happened in 2023 may sound like good news, but without understanding the details, how you land there, you can miss out on potential benefits or make very costly errors. So let's take a look about the 2025 tax updates. What's new on the table? First thing first, simplified tax brackets. This is something not brand new, it started in 2024 already. So the number of the income brackets, the IRPEF, is now 23% for low income rates, for low income earners, 35% for middle income, and 43% for higher incomes on everything that you're making or generating beyond the 50,000. So it's not a flat 43%. For employees, for example, the no tax area, the income exempt from tax, has been expanded to 8,500 per year, offering kind of relief to lower income earners. And additionally, those earning under 20,000 will receive a bonus. Yeah, believe me or not, a bonus that will reduce their tax burden. Now, bad news, there are limits on deductions for high earners. If you earn over, then let's say 75,000 euros, your ability to claim back deductions like, for example, healthcare, education expenses will now be limited. They put a cap depending on your income level and family size. However, certain deductions like healthcare costs, for example, or the main ones will remain unaffected. What happens for the family-related changes? Well, there are tax deductions for children that now apply to those under 30 unless they have a certified disability, and for non-European citizens can no longer claim deductions from family members residing outside the European Union. What about the regime forfettario, the high threshold for the flat tax for business owners, the famous 5% or 15% for business owners for startups? Well, small business owners and freelancers in general can now qualify for this flat tax regime if their total income is under 35,000, and previously it was 30,000. And this change seems like offering more flexibility for young entrepreneurs. So you can combine employment income up to 35,000 and self-employment income. What about digital tax services? Well, for businesses, the rules on the digital services tax have been lightly refined. Large companies, you know what I'm talking about, right, will now have to pay based on the overall global revenue, making compliance more simple, but possibly increasing the tax burden for some. Fair or not, it's up to you. What about crypto taxes? Well, if you hold or trade cryptocurrencies here in Italy, take note, this is for you. The tax rate on crypto gains will increase from 26 to 33%, but starting in 2026. And additionally, a one-time option in 2025 allows you to declare your crypto assets value and pay just an 18% tax to avoid future complications. The new budget law seems like they introduced several updates for homeowners planning renovations or energy efficiency updates. The most, let's say, heartbreaking one is starting from January 1st, 2025, the deduction rate for expenses related to, building recovery, energy efficiency improvements will decrease from 36 to 30%. And this change was previously scheduled for 2028 and 2033, but has been moved forward. We have no resources. Of course, there are some exclusions, replacing emergency power generators with gas power emergency system of the latest post-updated generation remains outside of the scope of this deduction. What about the new percentages for eco-bonus and renovation incentives? Bad news for you. 2025, a deduction of 50% just for primary residency only, and 36% actually for other properties. And from 2026, 2027, unless new regulation will come, a deduction of just 36% for primary residence and 30% for other properties. Maximum expenses up to 96,000 per unit. And of course, even in this case, there are some exclusion. Expenses for replacing heating system are not longer eligible. So even worse news. What about the Sisma bonus? Well, it's still there. Nothing changed. What about tax credit for furniture and appliances? Well, it's still extended to 2025, but deduction for purchase of furniture and large appliances for renovated properties, the limit is now 5,000 of eligible expenses. And additionally, a brand new appliance bonus, this is the name that I picked, is introduced from January 1st, 2025 onwards. It's up to 100 euros contribution, 200 for households with ISEE under 25,000, for high efficiency appliances, and of course, only if the appliance is properly disposed of. What about eco-incentives? Well, this is in theory, of course. Unite platform simplifies the submission and claims for energy efficiency and renovation deductions, making, at least this is the scope, the compliance easier for property owners. And of course, there are some other key updates for educational expenses. The deductions for school costs raised from 800 to 1,000 per child. The asset revaluation is now easier to reevaluate the real estate or company shares with a reduct rate of 18%. Regarding the real estate changes, there is so it seems, a simplified process for transferring property or removing assets from business ownership with no annoying lower registration taxes for a flat rate tax option. How to prepare for these changes? Well, you have to be trained for that, since if you move to Italy, it's something you have to face over and over every December or January, depending on the budget law list. Number one, you have to understand your tax brackets. Determine whether or not your income falls under the new system or the old one. Take a look about your deductions. Check carefully which expenses are still deductible, or plan your budget accordingly. And the third one, it's definitely up to you. Take a look for some professional advice. Complex changes like those affecting, for example, cryptocurrencies or family deductions definitely require some expert guidance. Whether you need, help filing your taxes, optimizing your income, always do your due diligence. Do not let changes turn into real challenges as a one-way only, since very often things stay as they are. Think about the regime impatriati, for example, or the 7% from pension in the South, or the flat tax 200,000 for high net worth individuals. 2025 could be a very good year to come to Italy and stay, or to leave if you want.